Good morning, traders. Joseph here from ACAP. So today we're just going to go over, this morning we're just going to go over some of the main moves from overnight. So we're looking at the Euro USD at the moment. That's continued to extend this rally that we saw set off last week. We saw another just under 1% added overnight, and it was over 1% at one stage, trading back up to that 1186 points. So the this rally shows for now shows continued strength, but we're wondering when we're going to see that first pullback. So we haven't seen a decline just yet, so sooner or later we would think that we're going to see a bit of a proper test from sellers. So keep your eyes on that one. Now, another big mover overnight was the dollar CAD. It came off quite heavily, and the selling that started after that gap didn't really let up, and we saw a drop of 0.83%. The Aussie dollar continued its fight back that we saw start early in the Asian session. It did come off a little bit. There was a small fade, but at the moment this morning it is holding higher. And over on the yen, that fight back was a little bit more healthier than the dollar, with a good, that fade was once again seen, but a very strong rally from risk currencies, mainly to the yen in yesterday's session. The euro really jumped, and we saw a really strong rally of 1.66%, and the pound as well. It was a little bit more muted. It was not as much buying demand, but it still closed higher. Now, gold this morning continues to show some demand and support from basically the 1586 area. We can see that these two tests over the last two sessions have been stopped. We did give back that rally yesterday and finished slightly lower, but this morning buyers have continued to show demand from that area. But as we saw with this fade yesterday, we want to see if sellers do come in again today and fade that rally, and if we do see a test back down into this demand area. And oil was another that jumped yesterday. We saw a very strong session in oil. This added to the dollar CAD's woes, and oil, which has been pretty heavily sold for a fair period of time, jumped back, adding over 6%, nearly 7% in yesterday's session. So moving back up to that, above that $47 point. And we're just going to go on to stocks now. So stocks, I thought we'd stay with them for last. The German 30 and some of the European stocks had a fade, but they did finish higher. There's a fair bit of buying in the outer hours this morning. This is the German 30, which tracks the DAX, so it's running on the DAX futures at this point in the day. And we'll get on to the US markets in a moment, but the ASX has fought back, and it's had a very strong opening gap this morning after yesterday's close. And we're seeing, on the ASX 200 CFD this morning, we're seeing a very healthy 180, so just over close to that 3% jump. And we're going to talk about the RBA in a moment, but the RBA is expected to cut rates, and that could further boost the ASX 200 today. And depending on how the Aussie dollar traders are looking at it, it could either be priced in, expected, or it could come in and give the Aussie dollar a bit of a hit. So the race decision is this afternoon, and the statement's going to be critical just to see what the RBA is going to do in the future. And this all revolves around what's been happening with the coronavirus. We've already seen heavy manufacturing drops in China, and we'd like to see what the RBA is saying about that and how it sees that could be impacting on the Australian economy. And so definitely keep an eye on the RBA rate statement and rates decision this afternoon. Bitcoin pulled back yesterday. We saw a pretty healthy rally, and it added, let's get that lined up, it added just under 5%. So at the moment we can see support from that point at 8480 to 8485. There is some support there at the moment. Short-term support, we have broken that trend. We have started the first leg of a downtrend, which is a short to medium-term trend at the moment. It's really up to buyers now to hold that low, maybe push higher, or if we're going to see sellers, have another test of that low. So we'll get on to the US stocks now. The US 30 added 5% the Dow added 5% overnight, and it was a very strong rally. Now the SPX, which is the S&P, and the Nasdaq also added over 4%. So, pretty heavy volatility at the moment. We've seen that strong, decline down that was stopped on Friday's session, and we saw a bit of a positive close, and it was followed up by that gap yesterday, and this strong move overnight and it's further buying today. So this is definitely a very sharp recovery rally. Now, if we draw our memories back to 2008, 2009 in the GFC, it's comparable to the selling we saw then, and it is also, this type of recovery rally is also comparable to what we were seeing back then. So I'm not saying it is the same, but it's definitely showing signs of what happened back in that crash. So this is quite important to keep an eye on this at the moment to see if we do have this sharp rally up and then it starts to stall and be faded. Will we see not a pullback, but will we see a new decline start, which could be a very violent decline? So that's something to really keep in the back of your mind just while you're watching this recovery rally. Any type of high or low that moves up again, that could be showing a bit more buyer support, a bit more of a base from buyers. But definitely at the moment, just a couple of days of sharp rallies up should be viewed with a little bit of caution, as well as optimism. So, because that is quite a common occurrence to see in sharp moves down, that you have those very sharp recovery rallies, and they can also be what's called a bull trap and feed very sharp, fast selling as well. But we're just sounding out a few ideas and a few thoughts at this point in time. This is nothing concrete or certain at the moment. So you can just see the scope of that move down, the scope of the current rally. We want to see how deep and high this rally can go, and if we do see a new sharp fade and fall. So what we're sort of talking about, if you want to have a quick look, is you can see in some of these occurrences just around here, we had this sharp rally, sharp decline, sharp rally, sharp decline, and here we had, really wasn't really a sharp rally, but we can see that rally and sharp decline. So what the example we're saying here is we have that sharp rally, pullback, very strong recovery rally. That really just shows that buyers are up and about, and they do set up like a high low or a support hold, and then we saw that rally out of that. So that's what we're really just waiting to see, and just trying to gauge at this current point. It's way too early right now to really pick it, but we're just looking. Well, I'm looking for further evidence on both sides to sort of get an idea of where we're at right now. So that's my general thoughts right now on the current state. And again, keep an eye and tune into this afternoon's rate decision. Could be quite interesting to see what happens with the Aussie and what the RBA say about what going forward with the next their policy on interest rates due to the situation globally with coronavirus and the general slowdown that's been caused by it. So that's it for now. I hope you have a fantastic trading day, and until tomorrow, bye for now.